Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to studio, where today, do you recognize it? Do you? Do you recognize it? As you can tell, I'm very excited to be here today because I have a very super special build that I've been working on instead of doing my job and working on Wave 4. However, this is, of course, Wes Talbot's Knuckle Encounter, one of the original LEGO Legend of Zelda Ideas sets that launched way back in 2013, gathering 10,000 supporters only to be rejected. And as I consistently mention in almost all my videos, Wes Talbot now works for the LEGO Group. He has designed wonderful sets such as the Bookshop modular from 2020, and I'm here today because one of his older creations that maybe doesn't get as much attention anymore, that came with this fantastic poster, we're building it in real life today. I've been out, I've found the pieces, I've tried to replicate the build as best as I can, and we're gonna go build it. So without further ado, well, what's the point in holding this off? Let's go jump into a time lapse, and I will show you this guy off in real life. I'm ridiculously excited. And after a fairly fun 45 minutes or so of building, we have the finished model here. And honestly, I'm pleasantly surprised. I wasn't expecting to like this one as much as I do, and it's sort of great. Of course, as someone that grew up with the Lord of the Rings sets and that early year of Harry Potter, Pirates, and all that time, this is incredibly nostalgic. This really does feel like a 2013 set to me, and I can definitely see why I thought it was real when I first saw it. But let's take a closer look at this. As far as I'm aware, since Wes's original, this is the first time it's actually been built. So the main function obviously is you've got this weird like room, obviously has the nice floor pattern on the side. Let me take these guys out of the way, we'll look at these guys later. You've got the little red carpet that goes all the way up, no throne. We've got a collection of pots and skulls and such, just like you would find in the original Ocarina of Time. You've got plenty of jumper studs here, which means that we can take our iron knuckle here and just sort of wedge him down onto one of those, and then he can well, stand. However, there's definitely a couple of flaws with the build, and I'll go over him later. But let's start taking a look closer up at these features. So obviously one of the big ones that was shown was rupees in pots. So if I give these guys a little tap, like Link is smashing them, you can see I've just put a load of transparent pieces, this one being a pyramidal piece, in these little pot elements, and that means that you can collect some rupees just as if you were smashing them. So as I make a really loud noise, I just have a red transparent tile down in here. As far as the main section goes, of course, we have the more pots in the back, the skulls, you've got the flames on the wall, and these really nice red column pieces, which actually, if I spin the model around, you can see they are actually rounded, which adds just a nice layer of texture, although it's very, very subtle. You've also got these axes on the wall, which look cool. You've got the representation of the locked door at the end. I'll show you that in a second. And then up top, you've got the little statues, as well as this nice golden thing. This was supposed to be a Triforce, but I just didn't have the piece. But if I come in a bit closer, I'm going to show you one of the played features, and that is, of course, a light brick. And I'm really not sure why it's included, but, you know, it's cool and very 2013. The other play feature we've got around the front is these little Technic elements, which actually to modify because Wes's original design didn't work very well, and that skull is now gone forever. But if I turn the dial, the column here smashes down, and in fact our iron knuckle can even take things one step further, and he can smash the column, if it wants to smash in the right place, that is, not that it really matters, into two to give us some debris, and obviously some hearts would float out of that, but I don't have any. So the same is true on the other side. So if you watch, that just presses down and the column flies out, which works really well. I like it as a feature. It's nice and destructive. And that's what it looks like without those columns attached. And obviously you could always remove these if you were more of a display person. I found that this feature was very fiddly. As I mentioned, I had to change it quite substantially in order for it to work. Not that there was much source material to go off. And then the other feature included in this set is actually the opening door. So there's a gear behind, and I'll show you that in a second, but you can crank this door almost all the way open, and in fact you could just push it all the way if you wanted to, although I can't at the moment. And then that of course reveals a treasure chest. So let's spin around the back, and you can see there's actually a couple more details here. So firstly, you'll notice the light brick here. Really not sure how it was intended to be pressed. It's quite a squeeze, but I have managed it quite successfully. You're reaching in here, but actually behind 2 axes, which is just a nice detail. The backs were detailed in these old sets, and you've actually got the door reload feature here. So you actually just push it on in, and it goes straight back in, and then you can line it up like that. And you can see that there's just this simple gear system here using this, and then it can open and close. This is very prone to falling off, and obviously given how little pictures there are of this model, it's actually fairly hard to tell how it works. And then of course you've got the treasure chest back here, just sat on 2 studs. I'm using a gold one. He had a key in here, although that didn't make much sense to me. Why would the key be behind the locked door? But I've also put my heart print that I made customly, as well as a couple of rupees, and then that's just the light brick stick in there. I just kept that in there so I don't lose it, so my light brick will stay charged when I take this model apart. But of course, the main function of this, well, not the main function, but the main feature of this set is of course going to be the Iron Knuckle, because of course it is. He's the character, and I think a lot of people will be buying Zelda Lego sets for the characters, just like they do for the Mario license. So if I put those columns back on here, and if we bring our Iron Knuckle over, I will show you just how fragile he can be. The main problem I have with this build is actually the legs, and I'm 100% sure that this was how they were intended to be built, at least based off the pictures I have seen, where he's got this bar attachment to the waist, and then they sort of go on like that. He's got this awesome like shoulder pad set up with these arms and stuff. They can twist quite a lot, they can twist out a bit as well. It's really, really cool, but these legs are way too fragile, and the connection is just too weak, because he can bend at the hips, which is awesome. But he will just sort of sag and fall over, and his legs are just a bit too far apart to sit on the jumper studs that are in the hallway, so that's a bit of a shame, but you know, you do what you do. The obvious thing compared to the original model is the helmet, and that is purely because I just don't own the Gladiator helmet, and I wasn't going to let that stop me from enjoying the build, which is personally my favourite part. But I've just used this Atlantis helmet in the set instead, so I apologize for that, but you saw the real one earlier, and once again his legs have just fallen off. And then he's got his big weapon scythe here, which can obviously do some crushing. In fact, I bet you could probably just smash the columns yourself if he was just a little bit stronger. So there were definitely some design flaws, but obviously this was a fan designed ideas project, and that is 100% what I'm here to share. Would this project have looked good in official Lego form? Absolutely. I think the features are really what makes this one feel like a real Lego model. However, at the same time, it's also quite displayable, and I really, really do hope we see something like this just to pay homage to him. Obviously, now he's working for the Lego Group. I know I say it in almost every video, but it's a great set. I really do love how much it does feel. I don't know, it just gives me this vibe. Maybe it's because I'm a 2013 fan, but it gives me these really great vibes of existing sets, and I really, really love it for what it is. I think that there are definitely some design flaws. The mechanism for the door needs to be redone. These guys did not work properly, and the light brick needs a proper activation switch. But then again, these are all things that Lego would do, as well as Mr. Here needs a redesign. I never see them building them like this. It would always be with the ball joints, the Mixel style, I reckon. If not, just a large minifigure with some pauldron pieces to give him a bit of bulk. But either way, it is a cool addition, obviously. If you're interested in my Link minifigure, you can also go and check videos out on him on the channel. I've done plenty. And actually, what I'm going to do quickly is you're just going to move this to the side, put him in the back, and I'm going to bring in another custom that I have out at the moment. If we just zoom out a little bit, you can see on the right my Goomba cave mark. If you're not familiar with this, there's another video here on the channel which you can check out. But this is based off Link's Awakening, where you have that Goomba side-scrolling scene, and I decided to build them both at the same time when I was doing this new one. and I think they look pretty great together, my Zelda collection. If temporary is growing, I've done quite a few of people's other mocks. I've done LEGO Maniac's Puzzle Box, I've done Brickster's Link, obviously we've seen that. I was hoping to have all three, but this is a solid and growing collection, and I'm really glad to have been able to experiment today with this one. I really love it way more than I thought. I think it's absolutely spectacular. I may have quite a lot of nostalgic bias towards it, but it's awesome. I will not be releasing building instructions for this model. If you're brave enough to try it from the speed build I showed you earlier, then by all means go ahead, but this is not my design to share. This is of course Wes Talbot's. It was an amazing ideas project, and please go give him some love, and obviously support him, and I do not condone stealing mocks. However, this is my own interpretation. It's obviously not 100% real. I couldn't have copied it perfectly, but I do love it, and I appreciate everything he did for the LEGO Zelda movement. He's certainly a big inspiration on my part, and I'm super pleased to have the instructions, and one day I will build and proudly display this with a little nameplate saying that it is hid in the future Dream LEGO room if we ever get there. But in the meantime, I'm very happy to be able to look at this for a little while longer and share it with you guys. So let me know what you thought. Is this the best LEGO Zelda set to ever grace Ideas? I think it still is for me. I know we've had an amazing Hyrule Castle since then and whatnot, but it looks awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh, maybe one day we'll see sets. But in the meantime, let me know what you think of this one down below, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.